of income and substitution effects. Using some preferences we've seen before. It's going to be kind of the nicest to look at those kind of nice Douglas ones, but let's look at a couple of the extreme cases we've seen before. So the first, let's look at perfect complements. So I'm just going to draw it over here, and maybe we can fit another one in. All right, so perfect complements. Amount of good 2, amount of good 1. And remember, we have perfect complements, these right angle. Kind of lean on TF or right angle indifference curves. All right, so let's say that we started off here. Here's our original budget line, so this is our point A. With this one this much x1, so we call that x1 star. And now let's say that prices go down a good 1. So this is our new budget constraint. This is point B, x1 star star. Well, now, if we're going to calculate the substitution income effect, we're going to shift something the same slope as this green line. We're going to shift it down. It's just going to cut through A. So pretend these have the same slope, right? Should maybe a little bit more like that. Well, we're not changing how much we purchase of x1 due to the relative price change, holding income constant. So what's happening here is that there's only the income effect. The sub effect equals 0. Oops. And now if we turn our attention to perfect substitutes, I'm just going to maybe draw this a little bit smaller so I have a little bit more room down here. Amount of good 2, amount of good 1. Let's say this is our original budget constraint. Purple is what we've been using for our indifference curves. So let's say that these are our indifference curves. Well, x1 equals 0 in this case. And then what's going to happen is, let's say we have another indifference curve up here, wherever we need to draw. Now let's change the price of good 1. So it kind of shifts out. So this point over here, where I kind of drew my label, is the new choice. And so now notice here there's no income effect, only the sub effect. Because if we drew kind of another, if we drew another budget constraint, the same slope of this, it can only pass through at this point, right? And so this whole effect here, this whole total effect of going from 0 to x1 star star is going to be the income effect, the sub effect. It's only the sub effect here. They're perfect substitutes. It kind of makes sense in that sense. Though obviously the change in price has to be enough for you to want to change how much x1 you're going to have, right? And here we're going from the extreme where we're only purchasing good 2 and we're only purchasing good 1. And that's going to depend on relative prices. Okay, so the other ones this is perfect substitutes. The other one we've kind of seen already is quasi-linear utility or indifference curves. And so let's kind of erase this and briefly talk about that, but we've kind of already seen what happens, right? One of them was independent of income. So let's erase this and quickly talk about that. I'm kind of seeing, so hopefully this isn't too crazy for you, is that this quasi-linear utility function. So amount of good 2, amount of good 1. And so the indifference curves, remember, look something, they're kind of like these vertical shifts up. So let's imagine, might need to draw another one actually in a second, but let's imagine that this is our original budget constraint. And so we're going to consume at point A. And then what's happening is that we're decreasing the price of good 1. So it shifts out like that. So there's going to be another indifference curve. It's kind of a parallel one above it. X1 star star. All right, so if we took, assuming I draw these correctly, if I took this new slope, so the pink budget constraint, and shifted it down so it went through A, if I label the new optimal consumption of X1 star star B, where C is going to be is exactly just below B. And so the whole change here is going to be the substitution effect. There is no income effect. And hopefully this kind of, it kind of rings a bell for what we've seen before. If you remember back when we looked at demand in chapter 6, when we shifted the budget constraint out with quasi-linear utility functions, the demand for good 1 didn't change. There was no income effect. So any change we see here from a change in price can only come from a substitution effect. So it's a little bit different than some of the nice Cobb-Douglas ones we've been drawing. So all these cases are a bit extreme. Or if you draw the nice Cobb-Douglas or similar utility functions, it's a little bit nicer to draw. We don't have these one effect or the other. We have a bit of both.